My name is Emma, and the love of my life is Oliver. We've been friends for nearly 7 years and in love for over 4. Oliver is my dream partner. Kind, attractive, and financially stable with a good income from his job. He's been a dedicated worker since the age of 15 and has no regrets about it. He's a real man who enjoys working hard to provide for a family. He grew up by the sea, whereas I come from the capital city. We got married 2 years after meeting, just 1 month after experiencing our first love at the age of 19. My parents were supportive, but his family initially wasn't thrilled about our arrangement. They accused me of trapping him into marriage, even though I was a virgin and had no children. It's hard to understand how they could see it as trapping. I've also been working diligently, starting at a hotel reception when I was 17. On the other hand, Oliver had a previous relationship, maybe 2, but he only admits to 1. It's a mystery why they blamed me for anything. Despite the initial blame and some early animosity, they eventually embraced me as family, and we all found happiness in each other's company and trust. Oliver and I have been in love and married for almost 4 years, and we are all very content. I take care of the cooking and cleaning for him, and am eager to fulfill any of his desires in our intimate moments. I never refuse, and we both find immense happiness in each other. He is my ultimate desire in every way, and I wouldn't ask for anything more. Now, this is where complications enter the picture. I've been working alongside a man named Doran at the hotel since the very beginning. Doran, who is 32, handles maintenance and janitorial tasks for the hotel. Let me make this crystal clear right now for everyone out there. I have absolutely no romantic desires or attraction towards Doran. Doran is simply a kind-hearted person who has gone through a difficult time. He has a wife who cheated on him and left, taking his son with her. Through a paternity blood test, it was revealed that the son is not biologically his, exposing the affair and implicating another man as the father. Doran, who is not just my friend but also beloved by all our colleagues at the hotel, was in deep despair after this heart-wrenching episode. He didn't want to go on with life and even took days off work, something he had never done in his 13 years at the hotel, never missing a single day until this ordeal. I was extremely concerned about my friend and coworker. To boost his confidence, I began talking to him at work and insisted that we have lunch together every day, along with other coworkers, in the break room or outside at tables, to chat in the fresh air and sunlight. Doran feels like he's lost his masculinity because of what his estranged wife did to him. He believes no woman will ever want him again, causing him immense anguish. I told Doran that this isn't true at all. I firmly believe any woman would be fortunate to have him as her partner. He is kind, gentle, a good provider, and a loving father to his son. I'll share more about that part of the story later on. Having conversations with Doran over these weeks gave me an idea. I thought I could help him regain his sense of masculinity and, at the same time, explore a relationship with a different man, something I had never done before except with my beloved Oliver. This would help me resolve that lingering question in my mind. I then planned when to approach Oliver with my solution and seek his approval. After we finished dinner and cleaned up, I sat down with Oliver for our discussion. I shared my thoughts and suggestions with him. His response was to burst into laughter and give me a crazy, incredulous smile. He thought I was joking about all of this. I assured him that I wasn't joking and explained why I believed this could be an ideal solution for both Doran and me. I emphasized that he had nothing to worry about concerning Doran because I had no desire or attraction for him. Oliver became quite upset and stormed away, slamming the bedroom door. However, he didn't lock the door, and I knew what he wanted. To show my love and commitment, I removed all my clothing and entered the bedroom. He can never resist me, just as I can never resist him, even after 4 long years. I gave him everything he loves, and we fell asleep together in love and happiness, just as we always are. I waited for a day before bringing up my suggestion to Oliver again. I asked him if he had thought about it and whether he'd give his blessing. Once more, he firmly stated that he wouldn't, and warned that if I went through with it, he would file for divorce and have no further communication or friendliness with me. I acknowledged his stance with an okay, and sat beside him to watch a movie. Eventually, I offered him a treat, and we spent the night together on the couch, still deeply in love with each other. During this time, I observed that Oliver was distant and preoccupied with something other than our intimate moments or the delicious meals I prepared. He frequently talked on the phone outside our apartment or in a hushed tone in the spare room. My suspicions were raised, but there was nothing obvious. Days passed and it was now Sunday. After attending religious services, Oliver was planning to drive to the sea for a 4-day trip with his family. They had a yearly tradition of fishing during this time, which I had no issue with. I understood that he needed his male bonding time to maintain his masculine qualities and strength. Before he left for his trip, I brought up my suggestion once more. Oliver seemed frustrated but responded, "Emma, you're an adult and I can't force you on any matter. If you want to be with another man, I can't stop you. I've already expressed my feelings about this." I hugged, kissed, and thanked him for his understanding, but he looked at me strangely before getting in his car and driving away. Before Oliver left, he advised me to remember what he had told me. I expressed my love for him and continued to send affectionate messages and texts that night. The next day during lunch, I met with Doran and shared my suggestion with him. He was completely surprised and hadn't anticipated this at all. He initially declined, stating that he couldn't engage in a relationship with a married woman. I explained that my husband didn't agree but allowed it, and this was what I wanted. Doran pondered my suggestion throughout Monday night, unable to sleep. When we met on Tuesday, he agreed to it on the condition that both my husband and I were comfortable with it, emphasizing that there would be no emotional involvement, only the physical act. I assured him that I had no desire for him whatsoever. He was a nice man, but not someone I found attractive in any way. So on Tuesday night, I went to Doran's place. It was a cozy little home and we had the encounter, using protection, and there was no kissing or intimate gestures, just some physical contact in the act itself. It seemed to satisfy Doran quickly. For me, it was merely about putting an end to my curiosity. It wasn't a memorable experience and held no significance for me other than checking off a box. That evening I sent a text message to my beloved Oliver, informing him that everything had gone smoothly. I assured him that Doran's self-esteem had been restored, and I had found the answer to my question. I emphasized that I would never be with another man, only him, my love, Oliver. It's crucial to understand that this was a purely physical encounter with the use of protection, devoid of any emotional connection or love, unlike the intimate moments I share with Oliver. Let me clarify this for everyone out there. I chose to text Oliver because I was concerned about his reaction, and he didn't respond that night. I spent a sleepless night filled with worry. Thankfully, the next morning, he texted back, saying he would be returning home on Saturday instead of Friday. While I didn't like the idea of him being away for 2 additional days, I appreciated his understanding regarding the suggested encounter and was grateful to have his love. The following day, Doran and I had lunch together, and he expressed his gratitude for the session and for helping him regain his confidence and sense of self. He also shared that he had been granted 50% custody of his son through the court, despite not being the biological father. I celebrated this news with him and explained that, now that our purpose had been fulfilled, we didn't need to continue meeting individually for lunch or other gatherings. He thanked me, understood, and assured me that he wasn't a deceitful person. During this time, I continued to send loving texts and intimate photos of myself to my dear Oliver. However, his boat had poor service, so his responses were infrequent, and he mainly expressed his anticipation of seeing me on Saturday. I was filled with excitement and love, eagerly awaiting his return. But unfortunately, this story takes a painful turn. On Friday, after a long day at work and shopping for Oliver's favorite foods, I returned home to a shocking sight. My apartment was empty, and divorce papers were placed on the counter, accompanied by a note. The note stated, "I thank you and wish you good luck and success with Doran," signed by my beloved husband Oliver. I was overwhelmed with tears and disbelief, knowing that this decision was not his own, but influenced by his family's disapproval of me. Oliver would never willingly do something like this. He had taken away all the furniture, silverware, cups, glasses, and linens, leaving only a single set. Our king-sized bed was replaced with a small twin bed, seemingly from his nephew's room. He left me with a small TV and a chair. Additionally, he took all the kitchen appliances, but left me with just a saucepan and a frying pan. He even provided paper plates, plastic utensils, paper cups, and basic necessities like toilet paper and paper towels. My sole possessions left were my clothing, toiletries, and makeup. I attempted to call Oliver, but I discovered that he had blocked my number. When I reached out to his mom and sister, I found that they had blocked me as well. This was the case with his dad and brother too. It became apparent that Oliver had been consulting with an attorney during those times when he was away or in the spare room. It seemed like he had initiated this process shortly after I shared my suggestion, which felt like a deceitful move. I can't believe what's happening. I then read the letter included in the divorce agreement, which instructed me to direct all correspondence and conversations through the attorney, with no direct contact with my husband. This brought me to tears. At the end of the day, I decided to call the attorney to understand what was happening and how I would survive. I explained that I couldn't afford to pay for this apartment on my own. The attorney informed me that Oliver had covered the lease payment, including basic utilities, for the remaining 3 months on our lease. However, I would need to manage expenses for video service, internet, and cell phone on my own. The attorney also mentioned that when the lease expires, Oliver had terminated it. If I wanted to stay, I would need to renew it with the landlord. I'm left wondering how I can manage to stay when I can barely afford it. Is this how a man treats the love of his life and a woman who gave him everything, from love in various forms to cooking, cleaning, and running all errands? Oliver always had to ask, and he would get whatever he wanted. Now, I'm on I couldn't sleep that night, and the following day I decided to visit Oliver at his job site. I was informed that he had taken on a job by the shore and specifically requested to work in that area. He's a skilled concrete worker, one of the best, especially for someone so young. I asked the foreman to let him know I was there and that I loved him, and he said he would pass on the message. I'm overwhelmed with grief. It's truly unbearable, like experiencing a death and loss. I confided in a friend and coworker about everything, and she couldn't believe my actions. What? She's the one who initially suggested the idea. When I questioned her about it, she said, "Yes, I mentioned it, but I never thought you'd actually go through with it. It was just crazy girl talk." The following day, I took a bus to the seaport since I don't drive. I went to my in-laws' home, and although I wasn't exactly welcomed, they allowed me inside and prepared a meal and coffee for me. I explained the misunderstanding and how I love Oliver deeply and eternally. They were kind, but Oliver's mother told me that he doesn't want to see me again and suggested it would be best if I never contacted him. I expressed my inability to do that because he is my entire world. Oliver was working 100 kilometers away, and his family didn't welcome me to stay with them, so I had to take the bus back to my empty apartment. I cried the entire journey and continued crying all night. I even had to take some time off from work the next day to collect myself. Now, I need your help with my question. How can I regain my husband's love and mend this misunderstanding? Please, I'm not looking for judgment or criticism, as I've already received plenty of that in a previous post without any helpful suggestions or actions. All I'm seeking are practical steps to win back my man, the love of my life, because I can't continue like this. Your assistance is greatly appreciated. Update 1. Let me address some questions from this group. Yes, I believe in God and the sanctity of marriage. Do you? No, I was not unfaithful to my loving husband, and I would never engage in such behavior. It's quite audacious to even suggest that. Yes, I do consider myself a good girl. How many 24-year-old women do you know who have only been with one man and had just one other latex session? I can answer that for you. None. Unless they're nuns. No, I have no intention of having any kind of relationship with Doran beyond being co-workers. There's no attraction or desire there. What I did for him came from the kindness of my heart. I take pride in helping him, and it's ultimately up to God to judge me, not any of you. No, I will never be with another man in the future. Perhaps you should ask these questions to your own significant other. Why not? because you don't want to hear the truth. No, I didn't diminish or disrespect Oliver. You haven't met my husband, so you can't judge his masculinity. I know he's more of a man than anyone here. No, I haven't disclosed this situation to my parents or other family members, but I'm confident they would be proud of their daughter for doing what's right and selflessly helping people. No, I have no interest in engaging in latex sessions with any other individuals in this group. Many of you seem to have bitter attitudes. Update 2. Well, I have to provide another update, and it's quite an unfortunate situation. It's been a whole month since I've been without my husband, and I feel utterly empty and heartbroken. I've made every effort to contact him, but there's been no response. I've even resorted to calling him from other people's phones and leaving heartfelt messages, but it seems he's screening his calls and has never returned any of them, despite my pouring my heart out to him. I went as far as having Doran call Oliver and leave him a message, expressing gratitude for his act of kindness and how it saved Doran from a life of misery. Doran told Oliver that he sees him as a great man and will forever be indebted to him for his actions, emphasizing that there's no love or interest between me and Emma. We're just colleagues. However, Oliver hasn't responded to any of this. I decided to confide in my parents and brother about my divorce, but their reaction was far from what I anticipated. They're very angry with me and can't see the good deed I did, only focusing on the perceived infidelity. No matter how much I try to convince them that it wasn't cheating but a selfless act, they remain unconvinced and express disgust towards me. They've even suggested I go to confession every day for the next year. I believe that in the end, it's up to God to judge me, not the people on this earth, including my own family. Final update. Okay, I wasn't planning on returning to this troublesome post, but some kind-hearted people have asked for an update, so here it is. I really wish I could block all those bitter individuals in the comments. Anyway, let me fill you in on my current situation. I'm now living at our community hostel because my lease expired, and I don't have the financial means to afford rent in the capital city. It's a decent place, but it's only a temporary solution. I could have stayed with my parents, but I chose not to since they don't understand my perspective. Now, about the divorce, it's official. It might just be the quickest divorce in our country's history, which seems to be my luck, but at least I have faith in God to support me. The judge appeared to be quite traditional and didn't seem to have much regard for women in today's world. He viewed my suggestion as nothing more than cheating and disregarded the fact that I had helped Doran regain his life. He simply stated, "You can call it whatever you want, but it's cheating and a breach of your marriage." I tried to explain that my husband had given me permission, but when he asked my husband and his attorney, they both denied it, saying, "No, Your Honor, he did not." What Oliver told Emma was, "You're a grown woman, and I can't prevent you from doing anything." He then added that he had previously warned Emma that he would divorce her if she went through with it. The judge turned to me and I conferred with my legal representative, who confirmed, "Yes, Oliver did tell Emma this, and it's a truthful statement." The judge proceeded to ask, "So why did you proceed with your affair knowing this?" I and my legal representative were caught off guard and didn't respond. The judge then said that we didn't have to answer the question because it was irrelevant to the outcome. He then granted Oliver the divorce, officially ending the marriage. As part of the ruling, he awarded me the equivalent of €6,000, about $7,000, which Oliver was required to pay within 90 days. Can you believe all of this? Just €6,000 for 4 years of various forms of intimacy, cooking, cleaning, running errands, and taking care of this man when he was ill? If I had worked these jobs instead, it would have amounted to over €200,000. Do I believe I should have received €200,000 from Oliver? No, I do not. However, receiving only €6,000? Come on, people, why aren't women valued more for their valuable contributions to marriage? Can the individuals in the comments section answer me that question? This is my last post here because I won't continue arguing with the unkind individuals in the comments section. I'm simply drained and you all are unpleasant people. Instead, I'm going to invest all my time and energy into winning Oliver back over the next year. I left him a message on his phone, letting him know I won't go on any dates for at least a year, maybe even indefinitely, as I'll be patiently waiting for him to return. I told him he's welcome to come to my new apartment any time for any type of affection, and provided him with my new address. I believe that one day I'll hear a knock on my door, and there will be my dreamboat Oliver standing there, ready to embrace me with kisses. We'll then live our lives happily ever after, possibly with many children and daily affection. Merry Christmas to everyone out there, and I extend God's best wishes to all, even those who dislike me and themselves. All right, that was a fun story. Now let's move on to another exciting one. Stay tuned and let's dive in. This incident occurred more than 5 years ago, and I still haven't completely healed emotionally. Back then, I, John, was 31 years old, and my girlfriend, Lisa, was 29. We had been in a loving, monogamous relationship for 3 years, or at least I thought so. We crossed paths at a cocktail reception held at a local art museum. Ironically, neither of us was a fan of modern art, but we were both there with friends, and we hit it off right away. We started dating casually and soon decided to exclusively commit to each other because our connection was undeniable. Around a year into our relationship, Lisa brought up the idea of moving in together as she was eager to take our relationship to the next level. I initially hesitated, expressing that I wasn't quite ready for that step. So we continued to live separately, but spent at least 6 nights a week together, and our love for each other continued to deepen. Over the following year, Lisa continued to gently nudge me towards taking that next step. Eventually, on our 2nd anniversary, I reluctantly agreed, and we moved in together. Everything seemed to be going wonderfully, and despite being together for over 2 years by that point, our intimacy in the bedroom was still vibrant and adventurous. With our relationship going smoothly, Lisa began dropping hints about marriage and starting a family. I let her know that I could envision that future with her, but wanted us to use this time living together to evaluate if we were truly ready to take that next step. Around 3 months into our cohabitation, I received quite a shock. Lisa called me at work to tell me that she had missed her period and might be pregnant. This caught me by surprise since she had been on birth control pills. She assured me that she hadn't missed a single dose, so I attributed it to the small chance of contraceptive failure, which is around 9%. After ending the call with Lisa, I went through a whirlwind of emotions ranging from fear to excitement. However, the more I thought about it, the more joy I felt about the idea of becoming a father. Driving home that night, I was overjoyed, and upon arriving home I embraced and kissed Lisa, expressing my excitement, which made her equally happy. As the weeks passed, Lisa started inquiring about our marriage plans. I told her that I wasn't ready for that at the moment, but suggested we consider it after the baby's arrival. She understood but continued to bring up the topic several times a week, emphasizing how much she wanted to be my wife and spend her life with me. Over the next few months, we dedicated our time to preparing for our child, transforming our spare bedroom into a top-notch nursery. I spared no expense on the furniture and fixtures, ensuring we were fully prepared for our impending arrival. Our lives were going so smoothly that, during Lisa's 7th month of pregnancy, I took the opportunity to propose. With a heartfelt proposal, I got down on one knee, and Lisa joyfully exclaimed, "Yes, yes, yes, I will marry you, John." We were both overjoyed. I suggested we have a civil ceremony at the mayor's office the following month, followed by a reception after the baby's birth, and she enthusiastically agreed. We had a wedding date set, but just a few days before the ceremony, our baby had different plans, and Lisa went into labor. We rushed to the hospital at 4 a.m., and by 9 a.m., Lisa had given birth to a healthy baby boy. I was by Lisa's side in the delivery room, assisting with the birth. Although the delivery went relatively smoothly, I couldn't help but notice immediately that the baby didn't resemble me. He had jet black hair, a deep brown complexion, and appeared to be of Hispanic descent. Both Lisa and I, along with our extended families, have Northern European backgrounds, with light hair and fair skin tones. No one in either of our families has Hispanic heritage. When the baby was placed into Lisa's arms, I glanced at her face, and despite her efforts to appear composed, I could sense her shock at the baby's appearance. My heart was racing, but I managed to maintain my composure, pretending that everything was normal. Lisa wanted me to hold the baby, which I did, and tears welled up in my eyes. I cradled the infant and felt an overwhelming sadness knowing he wasn't biologically mine. Despite my emotions, I handed him back to Lisa and mentioned that I was going out to inform our parents of the exciting news. I went out to the waiting room and shared the news with them. They all went inside to see Lisa and the baby, while I explained that I needed a short walk to calm my nerves after all the excitement. I headed over to a small park area by a stream that flowed through the hospital grounds, and there, I completely broke down in tears. My world felt like it had crumbled around me. I knew that today, I would lose both my future wife and the baby I had so dearly hoped for. I spent about 30 minutes crying my heart out, and then my phone rang and it was my mother. She inquired about my well-being, and I replied, "I think so." She then said, "Son, I understand why you left." I confided, "Mom, the baby isn't mine." Her response was comforting. "Son, I know, and I'll stand by you no matter what decision you make." With that assurance, I regained my composure, went to the restroom to freshen up, and returned to the room. Upon re-entering the room, only Lisa, her parents, and my mom remained. The baby had been taken to the nursery, and Lisa was understandably exhausted from the childbirth. I suggested that we all give Lisa some much-needed time to rest. As we left the room, Lisa asked if I could stay with her, but I gently replied, "Babe, it's best for you to rest without talking." We all headed to the cafeteria and spent a few hours there while Lisa got some rest. Upon returning upstairs, I allowed her parents to check on her first. After spending about half an hour with her, they relayed that Lisa wanted me to be with her, so I went in to comfort her. Lisa began talking, expressing her happiness, and asked if I was happy too. I reassured her that I was thrilled that both she and the baby were healthy. Concerned, she observed, "You seem distant. Is something wrong?" I replied, "We need to talk." She inquired, "Talk about what?" To which I responded, "The baby." Perplexed, she asked, "What about the baby?" That's when I disclosed, "Lisa, the baby is clearly not mine." She reacted defensively, stating, "It is your baby. Whose else would it be?" I challenged her, saying, "You tell me." Her response was tearful sobbing, and I allowed her to cry for what felt like an eternity but was actually closer to 10 minutes. After she composed herself, I pressed further, asking about the father of the child. Through her tears, she confessed, "You are the father." I didn't accept that and insisted, "Lisa, please don't lie to me." She fell into a silent daze, staring straight ahead. Eventually, she broke the silence, saying, "I'm so sorry, John. I was unfaithful, but I want you to be the baby's father." I disregarded her plea and repeated my question. "Who is the father?" Reluctantly, she admitted that her ex, who she had been with for over 5 years, had come to town 8 months ago, and they had a brief encounter at our apartment. I stood up and walked over to the window, gazing down at the traffic below. Lisa anxiously asked if our relationship was over. I conveyed that it was, as I couldn't fathom trusting her again. She burst into tears, begging for another chance, but I firmly asserted that it was not possible. I insisted that she needed to inform our parents about this situation immediately. Lisa begged me not to disclose it to them. Firmly, I told her, "Lisa, you must do this now, because you won't be returning to our apartment when you and the baby are discharged tomorrow." Tearfully, she pleaded with me again, but I simply repeated, "No," and went outside to fetch our parents. As we entered the room, Lisa's father noticed her tear-stained face and inquired about what was wrong. I asked everyone to take a seat, which they did. Then I instructed Lisa, saying, "Tell them what we just discussed." Overwhelmed with emotion, she burst into tears and couldn't speak. I proceeded to explain the situation to our parents, and all 3 of them began crying, with Lisa's parents crying uncontrollably. I informed Lisa's parents that when she was discharged the next day, she would be going home with them, and I would arrange to have all her personal belongings and the nursery we had prepared moved to their house. Throughout this conversation, Lisa continued to cry uncontrollably. Then I turned to my mom and said, "Mom, let's go." In response, Lisa screamed, "John, please don't leave me. I love you and I'm so sorry." With that, we walked out the door, leaving her parents to console her. While we were driving away from the hospital, Lisa called and pleaded, "Please, John, don't end our relationship like this." I replied, "Lisa,